Bad news for those who were hoping that the $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill will address high prescription drug prices. It appears that it's very unlikely. Now, according to Politico, corporate Democrats gotten together with the Republicans to effectively kill a plan that would have authorized Medicare to negotiate drug prices with the government. With the drug manufacturers. So now this was, of course, spearheaded by Representatives Scott Peters, Kathleen Rice, and Kurt Schrader. They joined Republicans in voting against the leadership-backed drug pricing language at the end of a 3-day House Energy and Commerce Committee markup of the reconciliation package. The 29-29 vote was a tie, and it meant the provision could not advance. I'm going to read here from Politico, quote, "The moderate stand could complicate Democrats' push to reform a slew of federal health programs as part of their $3.5 trillion bill, since the drug pricing piece would have generated as much as $700 billion in projected savings over a decade to spend on other health priorities." So let me just say, these Democrats are not moderates. No, these are corporatists. They are paid off by the drug companies. Now, it should be noted that the same 3 holdouts had joined, again, the rest of the party in supporting the same provision when it came up to a vote in 2019. Gee, I wonder what changed. Huh, weird. So now Peters did tell Politico that he did that, and this was previously, because he knew the plan would not succeed because Republicans had run the Senate and we had Donald Trump as president. And said, well, I just want to have a debate. I just want to have a debate on the issue. Oh, okay, but you were hoping that it would die then. Right, great. So now, again, in 2019, when this was up for a vote, there's no way this would have passed. It wouldn't get past the Republican-led Senate. Or maybe and look, Donald Trump is like, oh, my God, prescription drugs. We got to lower the price of prescription drugs. Would he have signed it? Probably not. Even though he said he was in favor of it, you never know with Donald Trump changing his mind. So that's it, right? What happened? What happened? Well, they got the calls from the donors, of course. Now, they argued, and this is a talking point that is created by industry lobbyists, that the drug pricing plan would hurt innovation in the pharmaceutical industry. So now I want to ask, what innovation? What innovation? Now, so let me give you an example. Insulin. Insulin's been around for actually 100 years. Yeah. So made in 1921, discovered, right? Insulin is incredibly cheap to manufacture. The cost of production for a vial of human insulin is between $2.28 and $3.42, according to a study by BMJ Global Health. Genetically altered forms of insulin, also known as rapid or long-lasting treatments, they actually cost to produce a little bit more, between $3.69, nice, and $6.16 to manufacture. So if that's the case, why is a month's supply of insulin $450? Weird. No, we already know the answer to it. It's greed. Of course. The same things with EpiPens. They're incredibly cheap to make, yet very, very expensive. And by the way, Mylan Pharmaceuticals currently holds a patent for EpiPens. Happens to be Joe Manchin's daughter, Senator Joe Manchin, who happens to also be against this provision and also the current size of the reconciliation package overall. Yeah, I wonder why. I wonder why he would be against that. Oh, what a coincidence. No, it's not a coincidence. Look, and the thing is, okay, who would, you would ask who would try to stop the government from being able to bring down the cost of prescription drugs? Again, bringing down the cost is an incredibly popular position. Well, I know who, people who are paid. Over the last 2 decades, pharma companies and industry groups have actually spent about $4.45 billion on lobbying politicians. So that is legal bribes. Okay. Now, let's look at some of the recipients of this. Would you look at that? Representative Scott Peters took a total of $88,550 in campaign contributions from the pharmaceutical and health industry. which happens to be his top contributor, by the way. Kurt Schrader's second top industry donations are from big pharmaceuticals and healthcare industry. His top donor happens to be oil and gas, which, by the way, related, he is also on the Energy Committee because, of course, okay? So now these corporate-owned politicians join Republicans to block the plan and instead push a narrow plan which would have limited the number of drugs subject to negotiation. So that means the donors called them up and said, okay, here are the ones that we're willing to allow you to negotiate down. Now, it's likely going to be the ones, and you look at this from a big business sense, right? It's going to be the ones that get negotiated that don't make you as much profit. And the ones that cannot be negotiated, those are the big money makers, okay? And so now, that said, there's the hope is still there a little bit. It might be able to go through another committee and actually get out to the floor, which again, you would have to get past Republican filibuster or, of course, Joe Manchin. So the odds are low, but it's not dead yet. But the donors are really, really trying to make sure this very popular provision does not make it through. And so let me give you the polling numbers on that. It turns out 88% of Americans favor allowing the federal government to negotiate for lower drug prices on medications, including 3/4 of Republicans. That's incredibly high. 9 in 10, or 89 independents, and 96% of Democrats. The only time, by the way, that these numbers do go down is when pharmaceutical lobbyists and trade groups like Pharma, for example, use a talking point that, oh no, this could mean less innovation and less access to drugs. Now, why is that not true? I'll tell you. You look at first we're going to look at the profit margins from these pharmaceutical companies. For one, from 2000 to 2018, the 35 largest pharmaceutical companies reported a cumulative revenue of $11.5 trillion. Their gross profit is $8.6 trillion. Their median gross profit margins are on average over 75%. And according to research by the U.S. Government Accountability Office and the Congressional Budget Office, pharmaceutical industry has among the highest profit margins and returns of any industry group. They happen to be the most profitable companies on the planet. And you're saying that they can't afford, that if we allow the government to negotiate drug prices with them, to bring it down to a level to where people can actually afford it, that they're going to be broke? Oh, we can't afford R&D, we can't afford the research. Yes, we're gonna lose our ability to do research and all that stuff. We just can't afford it. Can't afford it. Wrong. They actually do have money to spare, even if they negotiate with the federal government. Because you know what? Most of the research, you know where most of it's done, or where most of it's funded, I should say, federal government. And it's done in universities. In 2019, Pharma's member companies, that's the industry group as I mentioned, spent only about $13 billion on preclinical research. Most of their R&D spending actually goes on later stage development trials after the drugs have already been discovered and proven to be effective. An analysis of two of the major drug companies, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson, showed that Pfizer only developed about 10 out of 44 best-selling drugs in-house. And Johnson & Johnson only developed 2 out of their 18. So the actual innovation largely happens in university and in government-funded labs, or in smaller research companies, which then, when they develop a drug, immediately get bought out. That's what happens. The NIH actually gives about $39.2 billion a year to universities, medical schools, and research organizations in order to do research and development on medications. Okay? And so once the drugs, as I mentioned, were found and actually proven to work, these corporations, they step in as a middleman and buy up the license and then jack up the price and then begin to profit. That's how the system actually works. That's why I say it's all about the greed. They can absolutely afford to negotiate drug prices with the government. The reason that they're not is, again, they pay these lobbyists lots and lots of money and pay these politicians lots of money to make sure that you actually end up paying way more for your medication than you should, than anyone in any other country. And they do so to make profits for their shareholders and executives at our expense. It is absolutely disgusting and absolutely one of the biggest reasons, one of the major reasons, and just one of the many that we should get money out of politics. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.